Greetings all. Welcome to One NYCHA. One NYCHA's in the house. Please let us know where you're from. Put your borough in. Put your development in. We are here. We are back in the building. Stan, mic check on Stan.
Yes, I'm here.
Mic check on Mike. Oh, cool. How that sound?
1 2 1 2
that
1
sounds
2.
crazy. Mic check on Mike. All right, share. Live film team. We have phone. Let's make sure we have a really great show. We go with the movement.
Stand. Yes, sir. What am I doing?
No, move that.
This way? Over here? This way? This way?
That's the my flow. Oh my gosh, here we go. Peanut gallery. I'm gonna let y'all know this makes me crazy. We had already set ourselves, but Stan got out of his seat. I'm gonna blame you, Stan.
You know what I mean? I'll take it.
Now the camera's moving. All of this stuff that I don't like. All right, share. We here in the building. Welcome to One NYCHA. We are back. I don't know where all this static is coming from, but we did some checks. But it is what it is. So, welcome to One NYCHA, you all. Welcome back. We've been in a little hiatus, but at the end of the day, we got to be safe, right?
That's right.
And you know what's out there. Please mask up. Get vaccinated if you believe in vaccinations. And let's keep everybody safe. Because who keeps us safe? We keep us safe at the end of the day. So think about your neighbor. So I'm going to jump into my week, then jump to Stan, then jump to Mike, and then we're going to dialogue with you all. Please talk to us in the chat. We want to hear from you all. So for me, this past few weeks was busy and blessed as always. I'm always going to give my praises to my Lord and Savior. My day-to-day is the norm, checking on residents, seniors mainly, taking calls, attending virtual meetings, mainly around NYCHA issues also, but not limited to political issues. I want to congratulate May Malik.
Okay.
Who has announced her candidacy for Assembly member of the 73rd District, and that's in Manhattan. I also want to congratulate Eddie Gibbs, give him some, on winning the special election. He is now the Assembly member of the 68th District, which I am a part of. Assembly member Robert Rodriguez, who was our Assembly member, is now the Secretary of State. So looks things are getting, great things are happening on the Upper East Side and East Harlem, I must say. And congratulations to Jasmine Sanchez.
Yes.
On her candidacy for Assemblywoman of the 65th District. She is out of Baruch Houses, I believe. If I am incorrect, please correct me. But she's a NYCHA resident, so please support her. And, I just want our viewership, to pay attention to all of these political races because they directly impact you. You know what I'm saying? Vet candidates and get behind those who you want to see in office. You could donate as little as $10 or more to their campaign and, to help them be viable. Stan can speak about that.
Yes, I can.
The viability, if you don't have any money, it's really hard to run unless you've really been out there and you have a really known name, notoriety. But money, is what makes it happen. So they don't have a whole lot, but they need something to be viable to, go against the people that are backed by these political machines. You can host fundraisers, volunteer, you can phone bank for them, but most importantly, tell a friend who can tell a friend and so forth, because this is how, we get politically engaged. And y'all know the gubernatorial race. We had a candidate on here recently, last month, I believe.
Yep,
right?
yep, Paul Nichols, yeah.
Right, yeah, so we had him on. That race is really heating up, and Hochul is really being looked at as what she's doing and what she's not doing, right? So
well, she's definitely, right? She's showing her true colors early,
right. But you're looking at her because she is the one that's there,
right?
She's incumbent, so they have to take her down. So she needs to, do what she need to do. But yeah, we are looking at her as my shout out to my brother Gene Deal from his Gene Deal show. Puffy's former bodyguard that just tells it like he is. He likes to say that people looking at people with the biggie eye. He says something stupid like that. So I'm just thinking about him, but he's a good guy. And Jamani Williams is also running, as everybody knows. So I will say she stacked her deck, and I believe I said it before a bit by adding Brian Benjamin, a senator from out of Harlem,
right?
Former senator out of Harlem that was running for controller that didn't win, but he got that position, which is good. Lieutenant Governor, and Robert Rodriguez, which was my assembly member, he's now the Secretary of State. So she's stacking her deck, for the city and stuff like that. So I get it, but at the end of the day, needs to show up for NYCHA. There's funding. We need funding, and they also need to look at that. We were declared a state of emergency,
right?
In 2018 by Governor Cuomo, former Governor Cuomo, and nothing has been done. So,
right.
And the federal monitor was put in place.
Yep.
In 2019, and to have a monitorship, be declared a state of emergency, and we still are, suffering. People
Absolutely.
are still. Going through this pandemic and lack of repairs, and we're going to go deep into that in a bit. I'm going to jump into Homicides Coalition, which I'm a co-founder of. We are going back into court tomorrow morning.
Wow, okay.
I will give feedback on that next week. Also, the Homicides Coalition, we're doing a Valentine's Day event in our community center, and we're doing a Black History celebration on the 19th, I believe that's a Saturday. So everybody's welcome to come. Y'all will hear more about that. Looking for speakers and people to perform,
sure,
and things like that. And today marks day number 496 of UES for BLM.
Amazing dedication.
Black people are still dying at the hands of police. I don't know if y'all know about the no-knock warrant recently of Amir Lockett. I don't know if I'm saying Amir Lock or Amir Lockett. In the bed or covered up, and they just came in and blasted him. And he was a licensed gun holder.
Wow.
So this is unacceptable. He was not named on the warrant. So those that wonder why I still fight, and even when we shut down UES for BLM, I still will be a crusader for Black Lives Matter and social justice, because enough is enough. They're killing us with impunity, and this has to stop.
Absolutely.
Why did they shoot him?
It was a warrant. It was a no-knock warrant, pretty much like Breonna Taylor's situation. There's also a lady before Breonna Taylor out of Florida. I can give you all her name. That was a couple of years before Breonna Taylor. We didn't know about her. I have to pull her name up. But they gave her boyfriend a body, which meant they gave him. He didn't kill her, but the police. He was on trial for her murder. This is how dirty law enforcement is. And they knew the bullet wasn't his. But he was on trial for her murder. But when Rittenhouse was found not guilty, and remember, they took out the gun charge for Rittenhouse. Right. When they took out the gun charge for Rittenhouse, the judge knew what he was doing, because if he would have got acquitted for the murder, which he did, the murders that he committed, he wouldn't have been able to beat the gun charge. So you take that off the plate.
Right.
And that's what they did. But with this black guy, I believe it was in Florida, he had the body that the police, his girlfriend's body, he was fighting for his life for that, his freedom, and they kept the gun charge in, right? Because he was a convicted felon or something like that.
Right.
But they kept it in. But this just shows you the disparity of how law enforcement and our judicial system works against black people.
Right.
So, and this is Black History Month, so yeah, I'm a little going in. But go ahead, Stan.
Wow. Well, I just want to comment a little bit about what you mentioned about Hochul, and I'm gonna throw my take on Eric as well, Eric Adams. As they're pandering, in my opinion, to the rich and the billionaires. They're trying to separate themselves off from De Blasio, who wasn't really a big fan of us, who wasn't on our side either. As far as being close to the billionaires and such. So I think they're making their position very clear, that they're going to be, definitely working with the billionaires and not being on the side of everyday average people. Hochul says she's not trying to tax the billionaires. She came out very clear and said, listen, I'm trying to be your friend. I'm not trying to work with the so-called progressive leftists, who are part of this so-called Democratic Party, So I think they're making their position clear. I know that Eric also reappointed Greg Russ. So he did not remove Greg Russ from his position. So I think that speaks volumes as to where he really stands on the issue of privatization, so,
too, I believe.
But if he really wanted, I'm sure something could be done. And he's part of his team, therefore I'm kind of seeing that, he's definitely for the privatization based on that, even though he's been a little bit quiet about it, but your actions speak louder than words. But I would say this is what I'm excited about. I don't know if you can see this on the front page of today's front page of today's news. I want to give a big shout out to the Carlton Houses residents who are doing a lawsuit because they have no hot water right now. And what I'm so incredibly impressed by is that they filed their first lawsuit themselves. They didn't have an attorney. They didn't have any of that. So they just got fed up about not having hot water for, I think, months now.
How many was it?
They have a great amount, over maybe 90 or so residents,
filed?
That actually was on a petition that actually filed, So they had a great amount of participation from the residents. They did it themselves, now they're on the front page of the news where the judge is ripping NYCHA. The judge is ripping NYCHA. And so I want to speak a little bit to this, as well, because we have our lawsuit. And I sat in the hearing. I say we, that's Justice for All Coalition. We sued Queensbridge. So I'm in the hearing, and the judge says something that's very...
Y'all did, or Queensbridge? No, Queensbridge Houses sued.
Queensbridge Houses sued, right. So Justice for All did not sue. Right. The residents of Queensbridge sued, some of the residents sued Queensbridge, right? Maybe I think it's 15 residents are in a petition for it, the lawsuit. Right, but the real issue is that the judge brought so many things to light in that hearing. The first thing is to watch him slap like NYCHA around, and to watch the NYCHA attorney sit in his chair and squirm and be uncomfortable and can't answer the questions and can't be accountable and can't do this and can't do that. And then the judge said, well, I'm going to have to force you to do some things. And what I really caught in that hearing was he said, why is it that HPD cannot sue NYCHA? And the judge said that NYCHA is an authority. It's not really a city agency. So this covenant between HPD and NYCHA should be illegal. And so what does that mean? If HPD literally took NYCHA to actually enforce the rules that they do for private landlords, then people will go to jail. This will become criminal contempt, and you can force them to make the repairs. And I think that the judges is where our power has to come now. Who are these judges? Like in this case, why was the judge removed? I guess judges sometimes the judge on the Carlton Houses case, who was the one screaming that NYCHA should be, held accountable. They removed that judge.
Oh, you know why?
And so these are the
next judge is going to be very passive.
Right. So I think our fight now has to be who are these judges that made these decisions? How are they elected? Are they appointed? And if they were to really stand up on the side of NYCHA residents and make NYCHA do what it has to do, then many of our issues will go away overnight. If we can't get the money, then the judges should be forcing them to make those repairs. So I learned a lot by seeing that. I'm watching their case. Big shout out to them. They're going to be having another HP action as well. Collectively, to deal not just with the hot water issue, but with the repair issues. They're going to be doing some letters of complaint, and I plan to help them do that, which would be the foundation of a lawsuit. And this, I think, Queens Legal Services stepped in, so big shout out to Robert Sanderman. He's also the attorney working with our case, and he came on board. We're going to get y'all on, Robert. You got to come on soon. But every development should be suing. And now, if you can't do it collectively, you could do it individually. There's more power in a collective lawsuit, HP action, but individuals can do this too. And I think if we flood the courts with lawsuits and if we put pressure on these judges, then I think we can have an impact and get some of these repairs done.
One president, that's good. That's good.
Oh, right. But before you get to me, because I ain't do as much as y'all did. Y'all two was the superheroes, right? But you said that they couldn't sue.
Right now, HPD, if you go to them and say, I'm having these issues in my apartment. You know, they may come out and play a role, but they don't carry the bully stick like they should. Like if they say, listen, you got to do X, Y, and Z for X, Y, and Z time. If you don't do it, we're going to hold you in contempt. And I noticed how the lawyer in our case was trying very hard to keep certain words out of the language, the little stipulation thing we're trying to work.
You can't really talk about contempt until they don't do something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that threat is there, whether you say it or not, because with the Homesizers Coalition, we've had inspection after inspection, elevators,
right?
You know, the grounds,
right?
The rodents and on the grounds and stuff like that. It's been inspection after inspection of boilers, and we've been asking for them to be held in contempt,
right?
And it hasn't happened. So it's a saying. I don't know why I'm cracking up. There's a saying that you can't police can't police the police,
right?
So this is government, so you do need some independent. This is where the AG needs to come in.
Yeah.
You know, because that's more independent. The Attorney General needs to really take a look, a review, because they have DOI, Department of Investigation, but that's all government based.
Right.
These entities are not going to, because they did the 170 page report around the lead poisoning. About, I think it came out in 2020
right.
or 2019. I'm not sure, but I can provide that. But with that said, nothing was done. The former chair was able to resign. Remember
right,
her?
sure.
So
with
there's no accountability.
Nothing. Right.
Right. So what can we do as people, or maybe force our elected officials? Because Gail Brewer of Manhattan Borough, former Manhattan Borough president, sued NYCHA, the mayor on our behalf to go through the infill. The ULUP process. So if she didn't do that, them bulldozers would have been there, you know? And because she was the borough president, which is over all of that housing, ULUP, you know, and all that stuff, when you want to build new buildings and do things. So, and it was in her borough, she had every right to do that. And she sued him and the case went mute. But that's our fight, which took 4 years.
Right.
You know, but... yeah, they removed that judge. That's something.
You know, and
that's dirty.
And then I guess I was in their resident council meeting on Zoom, and so the lawyer Robert Sanderman was there. So they asked that question, like, why is the judge being removed? Especially when you got a judge that's very proactive and holding NYCHA accountable. So Robert said that that's sort of like something that they do. They just remove judges and kind of circulating, but that is terrible.
Was he in rotation? That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what Robert said. He might have been in rotation.
If he was in rotation, then yes, because they do that. But if he was not up for rotation, he wasn't supposed to be.
Well, I think
you need to find out.
Right. So I think they're claiming, you know, I guess, you know, they're more involved in the case. I don't want to. They're going to come on the show at some point and they're going to talk their own case. But you know, even that to me, if you got a judge is good. And you got some sort of rotation system, that you now remove a judge that's actually getting something done for you, and some other judge has to come in and may change the whole direction of what you were doing, then that should be changed. You know, if you got a judge that's on point and really forcing him, he should be able to finish the case, you know, and really make it happen and really hold him in contempt. And I think that whole not being a city agency, I think they should be able to be held in contempt in the same way that a private landlord would be.
Of course.
So what is it? NYCHA residents are less worthy than a private resident in another building. Is that what they're really telling us?
It's establishment. It's hard. It's power. This is the thing, and the people going to have to just, you know, ramp up. And you just making me think. I know we got to get to Mike. Making me think about judges sitting on benches. Black History Month once again. I'm thinking of Khalid Browder.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the actual Bronx DA was his judge a few times. That kept sending him back to Rikers.
Right.
You know, why they didn't rotate her?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like he came before this woman, and I must say, it's not a negative thing, but Bronx residents wasn't up on what was going on.
Right.
Because when Johnson, I believe that was his name, was going out, she was coming in. It was a way they made that happen. Now, when she ran for re-election,
right.
You know what I'm saying? She shouldn't have got that seat. Not off his blood. You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
As well as the other people. He came before her several times.
Right.
Over a backpack and kept that $500 bail.
Right.
And just think if he would have got out and been able to fight as a free man from outside, he wouldn't have had all of that, all those years of solitary confinement.
Absolutely.
All of that abuse from the prisoners as well as the guards on Rikers. Like, come on. I can't even see why she's constantly. Her name is Clark. I don't see why she's constantly being reelected. So, but anyway.
Go ahead, Money Mike. What's going on, Money Mike?
Over here waiting to get to me. Like I said, I ain't do as much. I mean, I taught a few CPR classes.
Okay.
And,
well, that's something. Hey.
How many days a week?
Oh, well, I work on my own schedule. I'm a big boss man. Nah.
For y'all don't know, Mike works at Rock, so he's not giving himself enough credit.
Yeah.
He's actually started a business. But go ahead, Mike. I just want to give him a shout out.
We're gonna continue working these schools this coming up week and building a podcast actually.
Okay.
And I ain't see you guys in a while. My daughter just turned 4.
Oh, congratulations.
I made her a Fruity Pebbles cake.
Okay.
I made her a Fruity Pebbles cake. Yeah, I should have had you come sing. Right?
You could have.
He grew a beard since we saw him last week. Got a little beard going on here. Looking.
Oh, that's gonna get cut off.
So how's the acting career going? And tell us, did your scene come up yet? With Power or whatever.
You know what's so funny?
Talk to us
about 2-3 days ago. I got a text about 3 times. One time they texted me to ask me to come in for another scene, but then it got filled up. I guess I text a little later. And then they just told me that if they get another precinct, because I've had a fit in for a police officer.
It was a cop.
Okay.
I did a fit in. So they said they get another precinct scene, they gonna call me. As a cop. They're gonna call me to come back for the precinct scene.
Good cop, bad cop.
I don't know. They got Omar Epps in there. I might.
Was you in the scene yet? Did it air? The scene?
I doubt the air. Yeah, it's the next season.
Is it the one with Tommy?
No. This is Raising Canaan. I did Ghost before, but
but this season Tommy's right. Isn't this
season?
Tommy?
I don't watch it. I can help you.
Nah, you talking about Power, but this is Power Book 3. This is Raising Canaan. This is before. This is when 50 Cent or Kane. This is when he was a kid.
Okay, so that's
already
aired.
This is the 90s.
It aired already, or is
Nah, it didn't air yet.
Okay, but it will.
Yes.
Okay, so stay tuned because this was royalty here. You know, give him some.
I'm doing my best.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I've seen
straight out of Ravenswood too.
Yeah, I've seen.
You can have a star right out of NYCHA.
Yeah. I seen some pictures of you looking like you were beat up and stuff, like with the makeup
Oh,
and
right.
everything. Yeah, and this was like a couple of years ago, so he's really pursuing this. So keep rising.
That was a scene for. It's so funny. That was a West Side Story scene about the cop corrupt. It was police brutality.
They
scene.
like him in cop.
Okay.
But I was actually getting beat up by the police on that scene. Well, I didn't get beat up. I was so-called already beat up by the police on that scene.
Okay. Oh, doing big things, man. I had to get your autograph soon, man. Before you blow up.
Yeah.
You gotta get your autograph. It'll probably be worth some money down the road.
Got a direct question for Stan from Rodney Jones. Were you at PS 111 for the meeting?
No, I wasn't. If you could share in the chat what that meeting was about, then I definitely will speak on it. I know also one of the things that happened this week, we had the president came to Queensbridge, right? And my only thing, they reached out to with Eric Adams, right? And they reached out to organizations, but I mean, I know Justice for All didn't get a phone call. I know a lot of organizations in the community didn't get a phone call. And I know the issue was gun violence.
No, gun violence.
It was about gun violence, but my only concern sometimes, I just say a lot of times these folks come and they always come to Queensbridge because it's iconic, big Queensbridge, and they take their photo ops and then they're out. So I know Eric has been there like 2 or 3 times now.
They reach out to community land.
And, they reach out to many of them, many of the groups because I believe NYCHA. You don't want to question, right? You want to get up, say what you got to say, control the narrative, get back in your car and drive off.
Of course.
And I think that's really what's happening.
I'm glad you brought that up because now I'm going back into Gene Deal. I don't know why I'm highlighting him today, but I watch his podcast. I need to check him out, the Gene Deal show. But he spoke about Eric Adams coming out. I'm kind of going to paraphrase it as quick as I can about the gun violence and with the president. And he basically said he did some math and they spent over like $100 and something thousand buying guns from a particular guy, young man that was an honor student in college and something like that. And Gene Deal is also a former parole officer. And he made a lot of sense. And I am a former member of service with NYPD, civilian supervisor. He made a lot of sense. He said when a buy is done, you arrest that person. You should be arresting them, like right after.
Right.
Instead of giving them money to constantly re-up and buy more guns, bring more guns in, because all the guns are not being sold to the cops. Right. They're being still sold on. So he basically made it plain and made sense that our tax dollars, the funding or however it's coming in, is actually helping with the guns being put on the streets as well. It makes sense.
Yeah,
when you
well,
think about it.
yeah,
Because they work on building, just like drugs, they're working on building these cases instead of knocking, because you knock this one off, you want to build a great case to put the person under the jail.
Right.
I get that, but he's still, or she still, is selling guns not just to undercover cops.
Right, sure.
He's selling guns to people that want to buy guns.
Sure.
And that's the same with drugs.
Sure.
So if you stop one person, that's at least one dealer off the streets. So shout out again to, I'm gonna put his YouTube video in the chat so people.
There's so much. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm with people getting shot, but everybody working so hard about people on the street getting rid of them guns. I think police need to get rid of their guns.
Oh,
well, that's a statement
defund,
there.
disarm, disband. That's my thing.
Yeah,
and I could explain that. Defund, reallocate funding to agencies that can use it. From mental health to community organizations. There's people that do conflict resolution. Resolving issues. So that's the defund. Disarm. Yes, take their weapons from them. Only have specialized units with guns, because when they show up, literally the crime is pretty much
done,
over,
yeah.
Sadly. And when I say disband, that means you break it down and you revamp it and you remodel it. So defund, disband, disarm, disband. That's what I say, and I could speak to it, and it makes a lot of sense. I know some people that don't like the narrative, but just think about an unarmed person getting killed by an officer if he wasn't armed, and they have specialized units. I mean, if you go to Roosevelt Island, they have public safety. They do not have guns, and it's safe over there pretty much. And if they need, more of the cavalry, they call, I believe is in Queens, that comes over, and they come out and respond. But, I mean, and then you got community groups that help.
Don't need guns, I guess, right? These police, I guess they need guns. And if they need guns, I'm pretty sure these people in these streets probably want to live too. And I'm not promoting illegal gun purchasing, but people want to live themselves. I mean, nobody want to die. It's an old saying that they rather get caught with it than caught without it.
And there's another one. I rather be tried by 12 than carried by 6.
And look at that.
Well, I guess we're looking at the debate. I guess the gun issue debate that we're fighting. There's two sides of it. I know we deal with it as organizers. I know we have I'm in the middle. Like I don't want one. Right.
I don't advocate for people to have illegal guns. But if you can get one, you have the right to bear arms. Yes, you can. So.
And I will say though, big shout out to Queensbridge, 696 Queensbridge. That's where they went. Brother K Bain over there, and they do a good job as interrupters. So I guess Eric is trying to.
Did he meet with them?
He met with them. They actually, I saw the footage on Channel 1, they were actually in the office of 696 Queensbridge Build. And, the Interrupter program is excellent, where they go out in the streets and they try to engage with the community in situations before it pops off, before it becomes violent. So I guess that was a good sign, that we're not just going to just be pro-police, or he's not just going to be pro-police. He's going to kind of work with some of the reform things that some of our more progressive folks are asking for, but we shall see. We really shall see. But we got a very non-progressive mayor. That's what I can tell you. I mean, for sure.
I don't understand right now, because schools are still open, and and COVID is crazy. I get an email all the time from the school talking about possibility someone was close contact with COVID, and it's crazy, because when I call the DA's office to get a FOIA request for a man who's been in prison since 2000. They talking about nobody was in the office because the new strand that came out because of the Omicron. I'm like, what? You still got schools open and y'all over here running home because of the new strand, but you still got these kids going to school because in the new strand? I don't. And the mayor was the one who had the choice to keep the schools open.
It makes no sense.
I don't understand.
Teachers are retiring because of this. My sister-in-law is retiring. I have a sister-in-law. Not the one in Riverdale. She's a principal. My other sister-in-law, I won't disclose, lives out in Jersey. She's retiring because they're forcing them to go in and teach. And, some people want to be healthy, and they can do virtual. And they can do staggered hours. We've talked about this before. And you don't need to be a rocket scientist to make this work. You know, the kids that really need to be in school and be under that tutelage of the teachers, fine. Get them in there, maybe staggered hours, maybe a little bit of long hours. The other students, like my granddaughter, shout out to Shayla, can do all her work on her own and work off her computer, then so be it.
Right.
You know, and she gets do staggered hours too. She goes to a charter school. I don't know why I'm chopping up, but
well, the charter schools, our daughter goes to one, and they've been able to do what you said, have a staggered schedule. But the whole thing has just been a mess, and I just feel really bad for all these young people that are having to go through this. I'm watching my own daughter and the impacts that this has had on her, in terms of mental health. And there's not a lot I could speak to this too. I'm sad to say there is not nearly enough mental health services out here for these young people that are going through 2 to 3 years and ongoing of a total disruption of their lives, like all of us, but they're young. Their graduation's been stripped away. Their senior prom's stripped away. So many different things that they would have normally in their lives are gone, because of this virus. And it's affecting them. And there's not nearly enough mental health services out there, and I know this is a major issue within NYCHA as well, so not having that, Mayor, I'm sure you're listening, we need more, much more mental health services, for our folks out here, to keep things going. So I see y'all, we having some technical difficulties.
What's going on? Can you hear me now?
I hear you.
What's going on with my mic, Mike? It was like, it was muted for a bit.
You know what's so funny? We said all last show, we was saying, thanks, Rock. That's all we were saying was thanks, Rock.
Why? Because the job he does?
Because it was a few
yeah.
things messed up.
Thanks, Rock. Yeah, Rock.
He does a great job, and we're growing. We're definitely growing, and definitely hope to expand this platform and make it as big and powerful platform for NYCHA residents as possible. So I'm very happy to see the Daily News covered their lawsuit, and we got a lot of coverage for ours, but
and we did with ours,
right?
Too.
But it's
December 13th, 2019. Yeah,
and we need more. We need more. I hope I hope Monica picks the story up. I did refer them to Monica, and hopefully she covers it. Because this to me is where we should be going. Lawsuits, bringing them to court, and making them really flooding the courts. If every development did that, and to do that, you could do that with 10 people. You could do it with 20 people. You could do it individually. If folks in the chat, if you have repair issues and you want to reach out, we could file a letter of complaint for you. And for us, that's Just Fix, which I saw on the board of Just Fix. Big shout out to them. Okay. But that letter of complaint is powerful. Yeah. You can send that to your manager's office, and that could become the foundation of a lawsuit. So I'm just encouraging NYCHA residents, let's flood the courts. Let's now bring our fight to the courts and force these judges to get us the repairs, because we're tired of waiting for the money. Maybe the money's going to come. Maybe it's not. We still sitting on hold with the Build Back Better plan, and I don't know what's going to happen.
That's another animal.
But we need to take them to court. Everyone should be suing individually or collectively to get repairs done.
There's a lady in Holmes Towers that just filed her own HP action lawsuit. Her name is Joanne. So shout out to her. She reached out to me. Kitchen, I believe it's the kitchen. She sent me some footage. They've been promising to repair and come out, and they just been delaying her, not showing up. So she let me know. I was going to put her in touch with our city council member, District 5, Julie Menon, to help her, because Julie has came out the gate literally running and getting a lot of stuff done for our district as well as the city. I think she's the chair of small business too. So but she filed her HP action lawsuit recently, so that's a good thing.
Okay.
And that's what residents got to do. Like, as easy as NYCHA and or your landlord can take you to court, you can take them to court.
Right.
Like in Holmes and Isaacs, because I'm formerly from Holmes and I live in Isaacs now. There's 5 buildings there. We're on the Upper East Side. All 5 buildings lost elevator service the same day.
Insane.
And somebody was stuck in every building.
And the elevator stuck in the elevator while
somebody was stuck because it was a power surge and it went out. Wow. And I'm not a resident council president, but what I did, and I happened to find out from an old neighbor that we was talking, it was like, I just walked up all these flights, like over 20 flights. I'm like, what? And this person has a heart condition. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And a senior. I'm like, are you kidding me? And he's like, yeah, and your building's out too. I'm like, what? And then I went and I checked. And I'm like, okay, my elevator is out, and I'm hearing people in the hallway, and I'm just, talking to them while they're traveling up the stairs. So I reached out to the community board, every elected official, my city council member,
Sure.
my assembly member, my congresswoman, which is Maloney. I was hitting up everybody. I hit the borough president up,
Right.
Mark Levine. I text him because I have direct numbers. I'm not a council president, but I'm a leader in the community, and I have their direct contact. And I reached out to community center. So everybody, I was getting all these texts. Everybody was communicating, and within 2 or 3 hours, everything was up and running again.
Thank
There was
God.
some kind of power surge or something, but that's unheard of, and it's also detrimental.
Right.
It's dangerous. And then half of the people didn't even know it happened because it was in the evening. So
Right.
you upstairs, as long as you ain't got to go down, you didn't know. And if I didn't get that call, I wouldn't have known.
Right,
You understand?
right,
But then
right.
I also wouldn't have been able to fight and advocate. Now, I believe the council presidents probably was doing their thing too, but they weren't doing what I was doing.
Right.
Like I said, I hit everybody.
Right.
And I was getting the responses and the feedback, and they were there. So, and it
shouldn't have to
just
go
makes-
through that.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't.
It's the
But
same.
it is what it is.
It's the same, but we can't
This was
suffer.
Last week,
Yeah.
my sister was stuck. Well, she was in Van Dyke and
So
Brownsville.
you
She
did
was
the-
stuck in the
Let
elevator
me look
last
at the
week.
text.
In Ravenswood?
Nah, in Van Dyke projects in
No,
Brownsville.
it's criminal. It's criminal. I think that has to be our fight, NYCHA residents. We must and have to not be afraid. I know one of the issues that a lot of residents face is if you do take them to court, they're afraid that they may be retaliated against
Yeah.
or such, but it's within your legal right. First of all, you don't have to pay rent. Number one, as long as you have the money, I want to state this clearly. If you don't have repairs in your apartment and you're not getting a decent home to live, you are within your legal right to withhold your rent as long as you have it in escrow, which really simply means don't spend the money. You're paying rent, you're just not paying it to NYCHA. You're paying it to yourself until, that may be mine, until the time in which the judge may ask for it. As long as you have it, you're in good shape. The other thing is, yes, please take them to court. We can't suffer in silence and say, well, it's okay, because it's not okay. It isn't okay, so we got to have the courage to do that. And I believe if we had, imagine 100 lawsuits around the city from different developments as group lawsuits and then flooding individual lawsuits, and we flooded the courts and then found out specifically who these judges are and how that judge system works and hold them accountable and then pressure HPD to change that covenant that they have with NYCHA, then we can get the repairs done. And that's the fight I think we should undertake and just force them, because we can't live like this. We can't.
At the end of the day, it's horrible. We went through that on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
It was Tuesday. I had to look back at some of the texts I had to do. It was Tuesday. It was just a trying day. I don't know what the.
Now you're good. Now you're good.
No, it's something with this. This is Rock's position, but this is microphone.
Yeah, I know you.
It
She's
usually
on
work for him, but yeah, but he know how to hug it and get it. Me, I just show up like Money Mike, right? Just get in front of the camera and do what it do. But, yeah, it's just a lot. But yeah, we have to continue to advocate and fight for people. And what we're saying to our viewership and share with others, because this is not just a NYCHA issue. With the repairs, the Mitchell-Lamas are suffering.
Right.
I tell people, NYCHA's the new Flint in its own way, because we got a lot of issues and we're in the state of emergency. The Mitchell-Lamas are like NYCHA now, quiet as it's kept. There may be some good, depending on,
Right.
who's running that development of the Mitchell-Lamas, but they're suffering. Some of them don't have heat and all of this stuff and hot water. They suffering just like we are.
Right.
So what is that? And I, as I said before, as a former payroll supervisor with NYPD, I filled out income affidavits for not just NYCHA residents, for people that also lived in Mitchell-Lamas. And it's the same prototype of the paper, type of form.
Right,
It's just
right.
different wording, but it's the same exact form
Right.
because of the funding, and the subsidies they get. So
Right. And even that building in the Bronx wasn't a NYCHA building, but when I saw it in the news, it looked just like a NYCHA building, and we're in the same trouble. I'm getting calls for space heaters, and it's a tough position to be in as an organizer, because you want people to have heat,
Right.
but you also don't want to give them a device that ends up starting a fire,
But this is-
so it
this
becomes,
is- right.
Yeah.
This is what NYCHA needs to do, is make sure, and you had all summer to get the boilers and everything operating, right?
Right.
Because this is seasonal. This is a seasonal issue.
Right.
At the end of the day. But what is a resident to do? A resident is either, if you're cold in your house, you're going to either put a space heater on, which can be dangerous, especially if it's a very inexpensive one.
Right.
And or you're going to cut your oven on, which is also
dangerous. Or pour your water and keep the water boiling and all this craziness.
All these little things you got to do to just stay comfortable.
Right.
In your own home.
Right.
It's, because I remember I grew up in McKinley houses.
Die for carbon monoxide of keeping your oven on.
But if you're cold, like, what you gonna do? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not the right thing to do, but
you stuck between a rock and a hard place. If you got kids.
I wish I was in this fight years ago. I used to show up to my mother's house in McKinley's. I had already moved out, and she was sitting up. We lived over the boiler, and it was times when she might have not had heat. And I didn't have this fight in me, and I wish I did. And I'll come up there, and my mother's in her terry cloth robe, her thermal socks, her hat. She's sitting in the living room watching TV because she want to be comfortable, because the covers and everything, of course, in her bed. But she want to be. I'm like, what? She's saying, ain't no heat. And I'm like, wow, did you call? Whatever. She's deceased now, but the point is, I wish I was in this fight the way I am now against, all this type of oppression that we have to go through in public housing and beyond. I wish I could have fought for my mom. Right.
And for those who are listening, the RAD and the blueprint is not going to solve any of those issues. They're not going to go in and you have some buildings and, 2 apartments on the floor may have heat, then 2 apartments on the floor don't. So that means you got to really go in there and do some real work in as far as the infrastructure of that building. You can't come in there and just put some new stuff up there over old stuff and not really get into fixing that building. You're putting a Band-Aid, on a gaping wound, basically. Right. And that's all the blueprint is, and that's all these privatization plans are. If you're not really expending the money to really fix these buildings, then it's not going to work. It's cosmetics at best.
I don't know if I misread it or not. Come look at it, but I seen a paper in my building that said something about transferring the lease from
Well, then you need to. Then Mike.
I should have took a picture.
Yeah, you Mike. So then, because now this is in Ravenswood, where I organized the Justice for All Coalition. So Mike Jones here has told me I gotta.
I read the lease is transferred.
Take a picture of that.
Section 8, but I don't want to because I don't want to sit there and come in.
Well, then that's the transformation, and we don't want that. And I did not know that, because Ravenswood wasn't really on the list, but we are finding out, that they're doing stuff that's not on the list. They're privatizing buildings that initially they wasn't talking about doing. So it's a lot of sneaky stuff. And you're telling me that, and I had heard that from a few Ravenswood residents, but I didn't have any real confirmation, at the time. I didn't want to speak rumors, but if you have that document and you can show that picture, then that's kind of what is happening, which means that we all better wake up.
Yeah.
Because they're coming like they're coming like thieves in the night.
Yeah.
To really literally take this stuff away from us. There'll be no more public housing, y'all.
The devil comes.
They're like thieves in the night. Yeah, please send me that.
I'm gonna jump into the chat real quick. Shout out to Kevin Hodges. The neglect of public housing and education in America is the verification of institutionalized racism and nothing more. Yes, power to you. Right about that. Also, Kevin Hodges says the city managers should face those criminal charges. Exactly.
Yep.
One more from Kevin Hodges. He's in. Go ahead. You're going deep. That man who Billy de Blasio, who Billy de Blasio should not have gotten $1 DE for $400,000. I guess he's talking about Greg Russ salary until change was documented. Yeah, they rewarded him because he's the czar of privatization, the czar of RAD, and they rewarded him thinking he could make it happen. Kim says we need to stop paying rent.
That's right.
De Blasio wife had $85 million wasted for mental health. Thrive, New York City. Yes, she did. It was a waste. Yeah, who thrived from Thrive?
Nobody thrived. Except people that got paid. They thrived.
Kim says remote has caused emotional distress for my son. Right, and I agree. Some kids that really needed it then they should be. But then, it should be staggered.
I think a staggered system
keep everybody safe.
I think it should be an option for both. But my point was that
hybrid,
but my point was that earlier with the DAs, that the DA don't even want to go to work, but these kids is going out there to school.
Right.
That was my point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, some people want to be safe, I guess. Kim says we got to stop paying the rent and holding escrow. Yeah.
That's right.
Defense got allocated huge budget, but NYCHA no money. Yeah, talk about it.
And isn't that amazing? Did we find the money for what we want to find?
Ooh, she said the government is responsible for the guns. Talk about it, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
We are residents got paying. Sorry how I'm reading, y'all. I'm just reading how it's coming out. I'm trying to get it kind of right. Some of them are too long to write. Audrey Churchill, she wrote a lot.
Lafayette Gardens alumni.
Okay, let me read a little bit of this. We are really at a crossroads in America with respect to housing equity. NYCHA should be ashamed of how they treat tenants.
Yep.
I live in the Clinton Hills co-ops and actually received a call from HPD last week asking whether or not I have heat and hot water. So someone must have reported no heat or hot water to initiate that investigation. The AG only cares about headlines. If enough people band together to file lawsuits, it will get the AG's attention. And unfortunately, only if the media is involved will they actually respond. They only care about being elected or maintaining the existing power structures. So all of the patronage and nepotism jobs can continue to go on. Talk about it.
Lafayette Gardens. Orgies from Lafayette Gardens. Big shout out.
She said she was going to read some of it and read the whole comment.
We had nepotism, right?
Yes.
Who did Eric Adams hire?
His brother.
Is it official?
I think he's going to pay $1 or something like that or some craziness, but just on his face, it doesn't look right. And it just, I'm just disappointed.
Be his brother's keeper.
She said she was going to read some of the comment and read the whole thing.
Well, that one, it was a long one, but I did.
But that's positive. I
didn't want to neglect it. It was long because I do go back and look. So thank you, sis, for that. And it's quite a few people, so I'm not neglecting you all. We can't really read all of them, but I think I got most of the comments.
Take them to court. I think that's the way we fight, and that's the way we win. We flood these courts and pay attention to these elections of judges, and myself included. As I'm sitting there, I don't know what
vote on. It depends. Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm guilty too. I'm sitting there. I don't know what this judge does or how he got here.
Because we don't know. We have to be more politically inclined. 100%.
Yeah.
One more from Kevin Hodges. How can a private contractor do what New York City can?
And one thing I also want to point out in this lawsuit here is that they sent plumbers over to their building, the Carlton houses, and the plumber was unlicensed. So these are the issues. I mean, people got no heat, and they're suffering, no hot water, and you're sending unlicensed people to fix it. Which is criminal in and of itself. Which means you really had no intent to fix it at all. Cheap. It's insanity. Why are they not going to jail?
City always go with the lowest bidder anyway. But if somebody's unlicensed, then how are they getting the job exactly? But that's a friend on the higher up in the 6-figure salary that's able to let that happen. Come on.
Right.
I know that.
Right.
But let's segue because next week we're going to have on NYCHA Taylor.
Okay.
One of the co-founders of the Homes Housing Coalition to do a lot of work. We do a lot of work together, and she lives in homes. She's going to come and tell her story, and her story may wind up being somebody else's story, but y'all need to try to tune in next week. She'll come on virtually. All I'm going to say is there is asbestos in our apartments, in NYCHA, even in private housing. Asbestos has not been banned and is still used to a degree. And, we're going to bring her on, and I'm just setting that up a little bit. But also I want to let the residents know, I'll put it in the chat later. If you have any issues, contact the compliance unit. I'll put that number in. If you have any issues, also contact Federal Monitor. His team comes out. He has retired NYPD detectives. Some of the investigators are NYPD detectives, and they do come to your home to assess and look at the conditions. I had them come out to my home in December about my bathroom, as I spoke about.
Right.
And they called back a couple of weeks to follow up with me. My superintendent sat with this investigator and put in a ticket, generated a ticket for my bathroom. No one contacted me yet.
Wow.
And this has been well over a month, almost 2 months. So they called me back again like a week and a half ago, and they said, okay, you got to be kidding me. I said, no, nobody reached out. He said, I sat with him. So this just shows you how they care about us. And yes, I am an active member in my community, and my bathroom has been messed up for 2 years or two plus years, but they also have fixed the bathroom before, and I'm not really looking forward to them breaking my wall again. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Especially during COVID and stuff like that. But it has to get fixed again. But they also have to identify that leak, because it's not just my apartment that has all that bubbling in the wall near the shower area and stuff like that.
Right.
So I just want to say that, as I advocate for people and myself, I believe I do fight harder for others than myself. But I've been on the worst landlord list with Jamani Williams, our public advocate, 2 years in a row. And if you watch both clips, the bathroom is worse. It has exacerbated. It gotten worse. So yeah, but
insanity.
I'll put those links in the chat for people, because there is help, and then like Stan, myself, we can advocate for you all either in person, from afar, like we're connected. You're not alone. You have mainstream media, you have NYCHA media. We come out and we also bring people on to give their story, right?
Absolutely.
Like, we're not going to you're not going to come on here and get sound bites. It's live and uncut. So whatever you say, it goes out. I know mainstream media, they do what they do, and they chop up and they make it as appealing as it can for the audience, and as bad as it can. But a lot of what the person says, the message gets lost.
Yeah.
Here, it does not get lost. So that's what I want to say about NYCHA.
Absolutely. I just want to keep I say it a million times in the show. Let's just take him to court. Yeah. I'm gonna say it over and over, because now I'm seeing it. That's short of getting the funding. I don't know what else we're gonna do. Right. But we can't just accept this. This is unacceptable. And I'm so, I'm not blaming Biden. I'm not blaming, but I'm just disgusted with the dysfunction of our government. That we're sitting here still talking about a Build Back Better plan bill that was supposed to bring funding. We're no closer to it today than we were when we talked about it several months ago. People are just dying and suffering. I don't understand how we live in a country, or you have elected officials, richest countries in the world, in one of the richest cities in the world, but you have other people who are elected officials who are not from New York, who may not have public housing in their states. So it's really not a big issue. Like, this is not an issue to Manchin. Like, Manchin's not sitting here today worrying about public housing where he's at. So he could sit there and filibuster or not sign or just sit on the sideline and do what he does. And we have one or two people, and holding up a whole agenda that could save so many lives. I'm just disgusted. I don't even watch CNN no more. I can't take it.
And now, as you watch, and the experts are saying, and some of you in elected officials that are responsible or can make it happen, they're saying that pieces of it is going to pass. The entirety of it is not going to pass. So that's even scary.
And we may not be in the pieces, right? We may be written all the way out of it.
I mean, even when you look at public housing, right? It's not just coming to New York.
Right.
So it's other public housing.
Absolutely.
HAs, which is public housing authorities throughout the country.
Right.
So,
we need to get Chuck Schumer back on here. I know I don't blame him. I think he's done the best that he could do. I believe he delivered on what he came on the show to do. I hope he come back and tell us why it's so dysfunctional and we can't get it done. But it really, it's disgusting. So I say my other thing. You got Republicans, you got Democrats. They sit there, they do what they do and have been doing for years. We need to be looking at independent politics and get some folks in there to represent the people, because we're seeing the dysfunction of Republicans and Democrats, and nothing gets done. And they sit up there like little gangs, except our Manchin, flip sides. The Republicans they vote the way they vote, and they stay unified, regardless of whether the issue is, regardless of being, having any conscience or anything. They vote the way they vote collectively. We don't.
And I'll add to that, like, okay, some people might not want to shift the party, might want to stay in the party. So we just need new blood that really is going to fight, right? Somebody that's about humanity.
Right.
Somebody that cares about people. And that doesn't make you an independent, a Republican, or a Democrat. It makes you a human being.
Well,
so we need human beings to just run for office. people that care about humanity. And once we get that, because they work for us, they are responsible for our well-being. We elect these people. But once you elect them and they are not performing in the manner that does not help you and work for you, you get them out of there. And you know what? All of this that we're going through should spark many everyday people to run for office.
Yeah.
Stan, Mike, Andrea, come on, run for something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm on the executive board of the community board. I ran that race. I'm one of the secretaries. But with that said, that's totally different. But, that was an election process. You know what I'm saying? But, run for something, even if it's in the what's that called? The Parent Teacher Association, run for that. There's so many things for us to get involved in. And I must say, I know in Manhattan, and I believe it might be all boroughs, but community board applications are being accepted up to, I believe it's March 1st. So apply to your local community board, because that's where a lot of stuff get done too.
Right.
They kind of set up like city council in a sense. They pass resolutions, and they work with elected officials, and they're volunteers though, no salary, but they get to vote on things.
Right.
They get to vote on new buildings and new processes, and just liquor license, things like that impact your neighborhood.
Right. Sure.
You might want to build a community center, and it got to come through the community board.
Right.
Before it goes to city council. So with that said, there's power in us. We have to realize that we have power, and we have to exercise it.
That's right.
I don't know where we at, y'all. I don't think we might be at an hour or so.
And pay attention to all these local elections. Let's find out who these judges are. And I don't know the name. Next time I come, I'm going to
flip your ballot.
Yeah.
See what's on the back of the ballot. A lot of people ignore that.
Right. And let's start calling them out. Let's put pressure on these judges. I really think that's where we can get some victory and get some work done for our residents. So that'll be a focus definitely of mine going forward.
I don't know if everybody knows Secretary Fudge was on the Breakfast Club.
Oh, no, she was, really. So how did that go?
So yeah, she was, Charlamagne and them. They was asking her questions and stuff, but
did they ask her the tough questions?
She answered some things. She said, she was kind of transparent, and she said she would give them all her number and stuff like that. So that was a good look. So I'll put that in the chat to everybody to watch and get a look at it. Shout out to we had her on. I'm slipping her. We brought them on. Oh gosh, she's from Carver Houses. Please forgive me.
I know the organization.
Please forgive me, sister, but she had shared it too, so she had tagged me in it. So, and I think I put it in a few chats. So, yeah. Yeah. What is her name? I gotta look for her now. She gonna kill me. I see her face and everything. Ooh, having a moment.
Well, as we close, all the leaders out there fighting, continue to fight. Whether you are organizer, whether you're resident council president, whether you're just a NYCHA resident fighting for justice in your development, we have to continue this fight, take them to court. Don't suffer in silence. Do not suffer in silence. That's what they expect us to do. We can't afford to do that.
Emily Johnson, I knew it was Johnson. Emily Johnson had put it out. So like a 40-something interview. And I think people should see it because it's, she talked about some really vital things. And it's not just for public housing.
Right.
But still, public housing was highlighted in there too. So it was pretty good just to hear. She was inside the studio with them. So she was sitting down, unmasked, and they was chopping it up.
Studio? With who?
Breakfast Club.
Oh, really? Good. Wow, that's good. Good.
But
that's great.
So it was good. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
So, any final words from you, Money Mike?
Well, like I always say, I just hope that people subscribe to our YouTube page, One NYCHA TV.
Okay. What's our YouTube? Come on. Do you know it? Do I got to say it or you got it?
Just said it's One NYCHA TV.
Okay, all right. Okay. One NYCHA, is it ONE or the number?
Yes, it's the ONE for the YouTube channel. Yes.
Okay. Yes, please. We have about 80, 90. We want to get up there. Subscribe to it. Okay, and follow us on our social media platforms, right?
Yes, follow us on Instagram, which is it always switches. It's ONE NYCHA, and Facebook is the number one NYCHA.
Okay, and our Twitter is
ONE NYCHA.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Mike, you get
and our Gmail.
NYCHA@gmail.com.
Okay, ONE.
ONE.
NYCHA TV. So yeah, if you're interested in being on the show, or you want to see someone come on the show, reach out to us. That's the best and most professional way to get to us is via email.
Right.
Instead of putting something, in the atmosphere. Because, there's a process. We do have to, somebody get recommended. We also find people, right?
Right.
To bring on. But even if they're recommended, it still has to go through a little conversation. And because you got to make sure, things and people are right to fit, on your show.
Mm-hmm.
So, we don't discriminate, though. We bring on everybody. Who knows? We may have a Republican. Who knows?
Wow. You never know. I guess we're media, right? You got to be open to everybody.
All right. So we about to lift off, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. One NYCHA, one people. We'll be back next week once again with NYCHA Taylor, one of the co-founders of the Home Sizes Coalition, one of the comrades. I do a lot of work with her. We just busy. But we look forward to you all. One NYCHA, one people.
One NYCHA, one people.
Lifting off.